All right, let's pivot to Kansas, Michigan State. The talking point there is Ochai Agabji. 9 for 17 from the floor, 3 for 6 from three, hit all 8 of his free throws, scored 29 points, big goose egg in the turnover column. To me, Tio, the most impressive thing was his ability to put the ball on the floor, get to the spot that he wanted to get to. We haven't seen him be able to do that in the past. He's been able to shoot. We know about the athleticism. We know about what he can be defensively. We haven't seen that ability to get to the spots that he needs to get to elevate and make shots. And he did that last night.
He was terrific. I mean, all over the floor. And there was a time where Michigan State was making a little mini run, and Kansas calls timeout. You need your senior to be good then. You need him to make a tough shot. Catches an oop, gets a steal, 4-point flip. Quick, fast, in a hurry. He was terrific. And he got CJ Moore. We talked to him last night. He pulled up on a 3. It was a 1-on-2 break. He comes down on the left 45, coming towards us where we were sitting, and he just pulls up, knocks it in. It was incredible. You can write it down that he's going to be an All-American. I want to say in Penn. I tweeted out in Penn last night. But man, his length, his athleticism, his game off the bounce was terrific.
I mean, that's the thing. If he's making those shots, that has been,
and he's doing it against Michigan State. Now I understand, like, Max Christie is like he's not quite a Michigan State guy as far as toughness is concerned, but you're still running into the rest of those guys. He was unbelievable. I thought he looked like one of the best top 15 players in the country.
It changes his game when he's able to create for himself. And he doesn't have to rely on other people to create for him. And to me, that, like, bigger picture for Kansas, that was what they were kind of missing, right? That was what they didn't necessarily have. We were like, okay, they can scheme stuff up to get David McCormick the ball in the paint. They can find a way to, you're going to get these backdoor lobs. Bill Self is good for 10 to 12 points a game just because he's going to run something and have a counter that no one's seen before, no one's expected. He can manufacture points that way. But when you get down to it, when you get to the end of a clock, and you need somebody to make a play, they didn't have that guy last year. Ochai was that guy last night. You know who else was that guy? Remy Martin was that guy last night, and he was under control. Fanta, talk to me about Remy. Talk to me about Ochai. Talk to me about all your takeaways from Kansas.
Okay, so for Kansas, you just brought up the fact that Bill Self's great out of timeouts and setting things up. He's good for 8 to 10 points a game. When you go to Allen Fieldhouse, the fans are good for another 8 to 10 points a game. You're trailing by 16 to 18 points before you even get a chance to get the basketball. Now you add in a player who is an All-American type of player. I agree with you. I would write that down in pen and look like a pro, and also told us he was this close to going pro. It's the best type of return. And that's the key to success in college basketball. You keep the players around who are close to being pros, as close as possible, but they still play in college. I thought that Kansas last night, having as good of a coach as Self designs great offense. He designs great sets. Guess what happened in the second half? They figured out the fact that, hey, no set's going to be better than just giving Agabji the ball and letting him work. Like, Kansas's best form of offense was letting Ochai go to work last night, and that's really scary because guess what? They got about 3 or 4 other forms of offense that they could use on any given night. That's not the sole formula for Kansas to win by. Remember, they're without Jalen Wilson in this game, and David McCormick didn't even play well in the first half. He struggled for a good portion of that first half.
David McCormick for about the first half looked like David McCormick from the first 6 weeks of last season. And I was like, come on, man, stop with the turnarounds. You're 7 foot 250. We walked by him at the team hotel the night before the game, and all 3 of us were like, oh, yeah, I forgot what big guys look like. Yeah, exactly. And play like that. Play like that. One real quick point, though, that I want to make, because you brought up Ochai declaring for the draft and coming back. First and foremost, it's difficult for guys in a lot of situations to go pro, get the feedback from the NBA, and then come back and be able to utilize that feedback in a way that helps their team win, right? A lot of times it's big guys, we need to see you prove that you can shoot. Well, in college, we don't want Hunter Dickinson proving that he can shoot. We don't want Hunter Dickinson proving that he can play on the perimeter. Get your ass in the post, go dunk on people. You have one hand, but you're the best in the country at using that hand. Use it, win games that way. Do what you do. The thing about Ochai, and I'm gonna say a name here, and I don't want people to overreact, but it reminds me a little bit of the leap that Buddy Hield made his senior season, right? Buddy Hield for 3 years at Oklahoma was like, okay, he's a glue guy. Okay, he can defend. Okay, his junior year, he averaged like 15 points and shot like 33% from three and couldn't really handle the ball, didn't really have an off the bounce game, but was like a good player that probably could have gotten a spot at the end of the bench somewhere. That summer, he goes through the NBA draft process. They're like, hey, man, listen, you got to be better off the bounce and you have to be a great shooter. And he came back and he was crossing people up. He was hitting step backs. He had range out to like 30 feet. He averaged 25 points a game, and it was him and Denzel Valentine, whole season National Player of the Year. He carries the Sooners to the Final Four. I'm not saying Ochai is going to be able to average 25 a game and like be in that national title race and shoot 50% from three while taking 8 a game, but he's taken like a similar leap where it's like, okay, well, look, if you're playing off the bounce like that, T.O., you might be an All-American.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, he was terrific. And the thing was too, when you were watching him play, he did everything that you would need for an NBA role player.
Yes.
He guarded his tail off. Whenever he was switched on to point guards, he guarded his butt off. Tyson Walker disappointed me a little bit. I was expecting a little bit more. Bright lights, Madison Square Garden. Hopefully he can have a better job.
The moment was too big. He's a New York City kid that played a couple years at Northeastern, coming home, playing for Michigan State in the Garden as a kid that grew up in the city. Like that's a big moment, a lot to put on that kid. He's another one where it's like he's going to be better. That was just
absolutely. You're absolutely right. But he just did so many things that as a scout, you're sitting there you're looking at a 7-foot wingspan. You're looking at a guy who slides his feet. I'm not going to say at an elite level, but it's damn close. Like the way he shot the ball last night, he never seemed like he was forcing the issue, which was the most important thing. He never seemed like he was forcing the issue. He just took angles, took off, made plays. And even when, some guys, when they're feeling it, me in particular, I think you were like that too. If you're feeling it, it's going up.
Yep.
He didn't force it.
Even if
This
I
was
wasn't
a
feeling it, it was
senior.
going up. Even if I wasn't feeling it was going up.
Yeah, I know. But he was smart enough. He was like, this is a senior who spent a lot of time under Coach Self, and Coach Self's given him a little extra leash. And because he's improved at such a dramatic rate, I mean, his freshman year, he was good. You could see it. You could say he was a top 100 player. He wasn't a typical like.
Self said he was 300.
No, he wasn't.
Depending on where you're at, but
he wasn't ranked.
Like
He was like, I
150,
think he went to like a small school and played power forward, and he redshirted. You remember this? Yeah. He redshirted, and then they had a bunch of. I think it was like the Diedrich Lawson. You remember? And then like a bunch of injuries, and he's like, all right, let's pull the red shirt. He comes in, he had like 20 in his first game. Everyone's like, who the hell is this kid? I can't even pronounce his fucking name.
That's what Self talked about, depending on where you had him. But Self said he was an under the radar guy, but he's the classic example of what a great college player and now a pro can be. See, we get into this conversation sometimes, and I see it up close and personal with Villanova, where we sit here and say, I don't know if he's a pro. It's a journey. And again, sometimes coming back to college, it's a best case scenario. Number one, now you can come back. You could still make some dollars with NIL. Number two, you might not fully be framed for the NBA quite yet. Last night, Agabji looked like he was ready for the NBA. Could have gone last year, but perhaps one more year of Bill Self coaching benefits you more than playing in the G League on a Wednesday night on ESPN Plus. So like I think that this is the epitome of what the process is, and it's okay to come back because this kid looks like he could be that Buddy Hield type player. Remember, when Buddy Hield takes that rise, he now becomes the face of the sport. He now becomes the face of Big Monday. Like that's what Ochai Agabji is looking at. I want to bring this up though. I thought that was a natural 29-point performance. Yes. On the flip side, though, I thought Bill Self summed it up post-game, Rob, because you asked earlier, we have not turned to this name yet. Remy Martin stayed within himself in that first half. In the second half, showed us a little bit of what he was at Arizona State and was trying to get shots up. He's still trying to clearly figure out how he fits into Bill Self's Kansas Jayhawks team. But I thought for starters, I'd give a thumbs up to Remy Martin last night. I thought he did what he needed to do, and he showed us that he's willing to change.
Well, the big thing for me is it seemed like he wants to be the guy. It takes a long time for a player of that level to figure out how to change what they've done their entire life, right?
Like he's an alpha personality too. I mean, when you watch that post-game presser, like he's taken like – it doesn't happen too often. You go from Kansas's press conference where they ask Ochai a question and then another guy follows and Remy follows up. That doesn't happen that often. So he's that kind of personality. Man, it's big of him to want to do that. And I thought too, first half Remy was a little
wild,
self-involved.
But you kind of want that. Out
what I
of
mean
him,
by
right?
that,
Like you
you
need
do
that out of him for what Kansas had. Like they need a guy that can go out and make a play at the end of the clock. And I think Bill Self has to take the reins off a little bit and kind of let him rock. But it's the kind of thing where it's like you got to make sure you understand. Look, there are moments where you can do this. If there's 7 seconds left on the shot clock and you got the ball, go make a play. That's what you do. But when there's 20 seconds left on the shot clock and I want you to run this set and get the ball to this wing over here so we can get this seal to David McCormick, and you got to stay your ass in the corner because but like, so if he could buy in and do what he needs to be able to do and take advantage of those moments, then he's a really effective player. And I'll tell you this before I throw it back to you, T.O., there was nothing better. I don't know if this came through on TV, but there was nothing better than Remy hitting these jump shots and making these plays and then backpedaling back. Every time he hit one, he stared right at Bill Self. He looked right at Bill Self. And it was one of those moments where I was like, I told you what I could do. Don't fucking bench me again.
Yeah. Well, when I say self-involved, this is what I mean. Yeah. When I say self-involved, this is what I mean. It seemed like in the first half, he was worried about the wrong things. Like he's beating his chest. He's going up there. He's walking. He's hitting his head on the stanchion. Like there was just a lot of stuff that was going on. The second half, he settled in. He got focused. There was no ancillary bullshit. Like, and it was like he focused in. And then when he focused in, it's almost like Self could see it. He set a little elevator screen for him. You got a bird in here. You got a bird in Fance's apartment. Got a bird.
For some reason, every time I get a FaceTime, that always happens. Anyway,
but all the ancillary stuff, he canceled it. And then second half, I thought he was really, really good. And he gives Kansas what they didn't have last year. 2 things. Somebody who can get into the paint on his own. DeJuan Harris does it a little bit, but he's not spectacular in a matter that he's going to be able to bring guys to him and then make something happen. Remy can do that. He brings a level of spurtability because I feel like Ochai is going to be a consistent threat all year. I think after last night, the manner in which he scored 15 to 20, maybe not 28, but 15 to 20 is not out of the question. And I think Remy gives you something that he has the ability to blow a game open like that. He can knock down 8 quick points, put a game out of reach, and Kansas wins because of him.
And here's the thing. When you have that spurt ability at that level of Remy Martin, and you have Agabji, and we didn't even see Jalen Wilson, and oh, by the way, David McCormick will be far better.
And Christian Brown didn't play very well late either.
Gave him a little spurt in the second half. Here's the other key takeaway from this win. I thought late in the first half, when Kansas found a bit of an advantage going in the locker room where they could say, we've got a separator here. I thought their freshmen were very good in this game. I thought that Pettiford, down the stretch in the first half, Pettiford played like the last 5 minutes of the first half. Terrence, he was terrific. His speed. He is quick as hell, Rob. I said to you, this kid can play.
Hot take T.O. about to come in. Go ahead. Hot take T.O. Bobby Pettiford will be an All-American before he finishes college.
Oh, wow, you are rolling today. I wouldn't bet against that kid. I loved him.
It's the tools that I saw last night. It's the tools like his explosion, his lower body. He doesn't get knocked off balance as a freshman. He's under control. He's going to be able to get by guys. Yeah. He's the next North Carolina guard to go to Kansas, and Bill Self can figure it out. And he is tough as nails. I love the kid. I thought he was terrific. Yeah.